All right, so video 2 of 2, Sunday the 26th. We'll go to KRE. So KRE is a basket of regional banks. And the regional banks are in danger because apparently Dodd-Frank excluded them. So they were free to kind of be more inventive with how they manage your money. So they either survive or they don't. But if I wanted to bet on the regional banks surviving in the end, most of them, this would be the best way to do it because, like, I picked FRC. In hindsight, I should have picked KRE. This way, I don't have one guy. Okay, so if FRC fails, this will suffer, but it won't fail to zero. Not all of them are going to fail, hopefully. So this would be a good one. Technically, they're selling rallies. So losing last week's low will get you down to 38, and it shouldn't be surprising. Support, way too old to matter at this point. Way too old. And look how wide it is. So don't look for support. It's price action, sentiment, conversation. This is a lithium story. Technically, oh boy, I do not want to be long this stock. I think it's going to 17. This is like the Tesla neckline, the AMD, NVIDIA necklines. They lost it. They couldn't recover it. They went above it, but they couldn't recover it. So they need to be above 23 for me to feel better about it. Otherwise, I think it's going to 18. This is a LiDAR situation for self-driving or self-guiding tech. Tesla uses cameras. People say, no, LiDAR is where it's at. More accuracy. I think it's going to be a combination of both. You do have support at 6, 5.8. If it bounces, you do have sellers into 8. So if you bounce and come back and lose where you bounce from, it's probably going to 450. So make sure you study the company. Look, there's nothing but expenses, and they're growing, and no income. Yikes. So 0 is a possibility. So don't average down unless you know what you're doing. Lucid. I don't know about you. So listen, the tech is fantastic. The car is great. But every time I see it now, it looks older and older, right? The more I see it, the fact that you can slide the picture from the top end of the console down to the bottom end, I look at the outside and it's starting to look like a Citroën. Am I right? Okay, the car is fantastic. But the longer it doesn't hit the streets, the more blah it becomes. So get it on the street already, Lucid. Jesus. I've seen 1, 2 on the street. Yesterday, I went and parked at a comedy show in Irvine. Next to me, there were 2 Polestars, 1 i3, and a Genesis plug-in, all electric. And a whole bunch of high-end $300,000 cars. There was what is that? The Rolls-Royce SUV, and not a Lucid. So where the hell are they? How many are they selling? Why aren't they producing more? So it is just crazy. So technically, this is an opportunity to get you to 9. Technically, get above this area, you can get to 10 or 1050. This is a meme stock. Sell the spikes. If you buy it on the spikes, you're guaranteed losses, pretty much. If you buy it into the single digits down here and hold it long enough, sell it on the spikes. It's a trading stock. If you believe in the company for the super long term, then do that. Don't trade it. Put some money into it and forget about it. The car is great. They just need to sell a lot more. Make a lot more. I think that's their problem. Lyft, I wouldn't touch this company with a 10-foot pole. Boy, I said that too many times today. Okay, we'll change the statement. I would hesitate to buy this company. 1050, 1060 is death right now. They need to change that first. Second death zone is 1180. So look at it. If they can't recover this, they're going to lose this, and it's going to go down to $6. Okay, so this is a seller zone. I'm not discouraging you from investing in this company. I'm telling you what the chart looks like. So if they don't come back out of here and they bleed lower, what happens here? Okay, must hold. Now the opportunity is here, but you're going to have to get out of this box. How could I say it? I wish they would let me put, they don't let me put comments on this. So I have to do 2 arrows. Beware. Not a forecast, you just need to beware. Oh, I guess. Center. There we go. Main. I'm not sure what that is. Main Street Capital. What is this company? Bank? If it's a bank, it's doing well. You have buyers below and a whole bunch of sellers above. So if I'm long, I can sit long and see if they can take this out. They'll get to 41.50. If they take 43 out, they're gone. Meanwhile, you do have support and buyers, and if you lose these buyers, you have buyers below them. So if I'm going long here, take only half position, and I can add the other half down below, that'd be fine. Mara. Again, if you're trading this for Bitcoin purposes, I wouldn't. The stock itself has support down here into 7 and 680, and has an opportunity to break out from 9.2. It probably will follow Bitcoin. Bitcoin's still doing well. Ethereum is almost 2,000, so go Ether. McDonald's. Somebody said they wanted to do something with McDonald's. With a credit put spread? Yeah, not for me, not up here. It does have support, but it looks like it also has a date with 267.5. So the closer to 268, the better. And if it falls into 264, maybe. For me. It's not a stock I usually trade. This is a tough resistance. If you take that out this week, maybe you challenge this one, but this is even tougher. And this is tougher. So if you do get a bounce, break out into 275, I would exit. Above 275, you might get pretty interesting from a trading perspective. So up here, exit. Down here, enter. Exit, enter. You do fine. I wouldn't touch this. This has been rallying, I think they tell me, based on TikTok being banned. I don't think it's an either or situation. I think people who spend hours on this thing also spend hours on TikTok. So that's a false narrative right there. And I'm worried about their P&L. If they deliver another shrinking quarter, I think Wall Street at some point will start asking, wait, you're not growing anymore. Let me reweight you. So right now, their sales are shrinking. 2 quarters in a row, I think. Double check that fact. If they don't, that's why they're firing things and cutting corners. I think they know it and they're in panic. And if they come out shrinking 10%, they better have a headline, they beat earnings by a mile. That's because they've been cutting spending. So maybe Wall Street is dumb enough to initially react on a spike on earnings because they beat earnings so well. Like surprisingly well, but then until they figure out, like, holy crap, they shrunk 10%. Now I'm forecasting. I don't know. I'm just saying scenarios. So I think I either want to be holding a put into the earnings as a lottery ticket or short the spike of the earnings if what I said is correct. If the rally is because of beat earnings and not sales, revenues, then I would fade that. Right now, I can't trust it. It's performing really well, though. Okay, MGA, solid buyers back here, solid support. So a bounce could ensue into 57. If that's the case, they're going to find sellers. So if it does bounce, you're going to find sellers. Momo, great bounce. Right into a seller zone. You can see it. So if they lose 7, they will be at 5 again. And that would be a much better entry. So now the job is to get above 950. If you don't get above 950, you're in danger of losing 7 and going to 550. MPW. Oh, properties too. Let me guess. 15%. People, is this the same person? Don't trust anything that pays over 10% interest, especially these guys. Technically, death is at 10. Any rallies into 10, I would exit so quickly. And losing 10 may be said, we're going to 5. So you may collect 15%, but if your stock loses 20%, what good is it? where is the low? Is this an all-time low? Holy mackerel. No, but I would avoid that. Personally, that is not for me. But you may know the company inside and out, and please. Oh, and by the way, if you've followed my story about SI and my acquaintance friend, he was in the group yesterday with us, and on Super Bowl, he told me his thesis why he needed to go long SI, and I told him, what? No, that is the one thing I wouldn't do with crypto, is go long the banks of crypto, because that's the only risk I cannot control. I've said it to you. And guess what? He dumped a lot of money into SI like maybe a week before it collapsed, if not less. Even though I told him, and I told him about Bitcoin before, and he still didn't believe me, and he still felt compelled to chase the story that he heard somewhere from someone. And it's the same someone, his buddy that made, here's the story, buddy made $20 million or $200 million, whatever it is, massive amounts of money, Ethereum. And then he tells him, go in now, don't wait. It was the exact top. So he lost hundreds of thousands of dollars up there in crypto prices. Super Bowl, I see him, he goes, no, I'm done with crypto. My thesis is I want to go into the crypto banks, SI. I'm looking at SI. I said what I said, and he went into SI, and SI folded. He lost a bunch of money there. So don't do what you think, what you feel. Think. So this one, you don't know where it's going. It just lost support. It has support, but it looks like too old. And rallies will be sold. So please do your homework. 15%. Something's wrong. Okay, so here we have a credit put spread working in this company. And I think it is, there it is. So I was looking for a 10% yield for April, which is coming up in middle of April here. So as long as they don't breach my level, I'm okay with that. So I left room for error, and then more room for error. It can get in trouble if the market's correct. So okay, so I guess what do you do now? I don't want to chase it. They have sellers into 43 and 44 and 45. So until they prove to me that they're buying dips, I guess I can start buying dips. But for now, I do have support, I do have resistance, and that's what I'm going to do, just ping pong. Maybe now I can add a credit call spread, but I'm not going to. Microsoft, I wanted to dip so I can ride it, and it did dip, but not deep enough or long enough for me, so maybe it dips again. The bottom line is, if you take out the prior fail, you do have upside potential in Microsoft. So if the markets are higher, this can get close to 300. But I think it's better to buy the dip. Look at it. Dip, bought. Dip, bought. But that's not a dip yet. I want a bigger dip. Hopefully it doesn't come, because I don't want people to lose money. But if a bigger dip comes, I should be able to be brave to buy it, as long as nothing changed majorly. Net, Cloudflare. 60 to 62 is a lot of resistance. You can see it. But that's also the good news. So if you get to, say, 62.50, you probably can gain $5. Don't fight Shaheen. And you do have support below. So you can trust it into 50. But if you lose 50, you might lose another $5. So very tight range. You're in the middle of the range. If you buy calls now or buy shares, you're assuming this will happen. If you buy puts, you're assuming this will happen. If you buy calls and you get up to here, I would trim it and leave runners to break out. If you buy puts, I would trim it and leave runners to break down. If you come to here, you buy calls and stop out, or sell a put spread down here. And if you come to here, you want to short it, you can buy puts or a credit call spread and stop out if you're wrong. Okay. We're looking at Nike. I hear they make gloves. No, shoes. Well, they do make gloves, but they also make shoes. So the Nike store is always packed. It is freaking unbelievable. Middle of the range, sellers above, buyers below. If Nike loses 115, it might come down to 106, at which point it would make an entry point. Look, buy the dip. get long with stops. So if you can take out 131, gone to 140, where I would exit. It's usually in malls, so you can't tell. Okay. Middle of the range, snow. Oh, now, what is this? Yeah, service now. Middle of the range, you could be long. You do have a breakout here. Getting long here and hoping they would break out of here, they will give you 480. But they could also bleed down to 410. And at which point it would be a better long with immediate stops. Because if you lose that 406 or 7, you may end up in the 380s, which would make a much better entry point. So be careful. NVIDIA, I wouldn't touch this. It's an extremely strong stock. Too strong. It did not respect anything on the way down. We nailed it on the way up. We nailed it on the way down. On the way up, it is doing what it should not be doing. Okay. This is out of there. So this was a neckline that was complete disaster, and they did not slow down on the way up. They went straight to the prior fail. So in order for NVIDIA to make new highs, it needs to dip, come back, and take out this and that, and go to new highs. Wow, that is a tall feat. So I say it's vulnerable, and that's what scares me about the whole market, this stock, and the SMH, of course. It's too strong. And for the market to break out without NVIDIA, we will need a headline of some sort. So if that's the case, the market cannot break out from here unless NVIDIA breaks the laws of physics, which is unlikely, but it's happening. So pretty crazy stuff. Inverse head and shoulders here. I'm trying to wrap my head around it. 80 points. This here was the target of this inverse head and shoulders. So if we hit the target, don't we need a drop to like to 210? What? $60? Yes, it's available. And unfortunately, what would happen to the indices? So I think we might have a negative headline just to bring this freaking stock down. Like, oh, war in the whatever. 5% correction in the market. Brad, I mean, that sounds logical, but it hasn't quit running. So why mess with it? Yeah, that's correct. Buy a wide debit put spread and give it 60 days out, and sell a shorter term credit put spread, or even an iron condor. In other words, do an iron condor. Don't just do a credit call spread, and at the same time, short term, and at the same time, do a debit put spread longer term. You'd be balanced to a degree. Novo Nordisk. I don't know what they do. Okay, so whoever asked for this, what are you asking me? What are you asking me? If I would get long? The answer is never. Never ever would I ever get long a stock that looks like this, ever. If you're looking to short it, I wouldn't touch that either. This is one of those too high to chase and too hot to short. You missed it, is the real answer. And if you want to short it, yeah, it's shortable, but what are you shorting? What are you shorting? Like, against what? Where do you put your stop? So if you short it, assign a number in your head. Like, okay, I'm going to lose $200 and nothing more. And, exit on that. Oracle came exactly to my target and bounced. So now, if Oracle gets above 91.4, it has free reign to get to 98. But this played out perfectly, and it bounced inside the box that I said buyers. See that? Buyers. So let's zoom in. Let's look at this beauty. This was my path, and this was my buyer box, and look how they bounced right out of it. But now you can see why it's not going to be easy to break out. Maybe a dip into 86 or 85, get long, and see what happens. That would be good. So just like I drew this, I can draw a green one. Basically says, oh, if they dip into here, they might find buyers, and if the market stabilizes, you might get a breakout from here or the upper end. Maybe you get that. So buy the dip in Oracle. Haha, that's funny. Brad is back, folks. Brad is back. He got inspired by my comedian joke. Okay, so descending channel. They're selling rallies. This is a rally. I would not get engaged. Overstock. This is a weird company. Weird. Very weird. Sales are... yeah, no. I would rather deal with Amazon. Now, opportunity above 21, you can get to 23. Opportunity above 23.5, you can get to 25. Nothing happens without holding 17.50. You lose $17, you're going to 15, 14, I don't know. Yeah, whatever. Overstock. They used to trade crypto on now. If you're trading overstock because of crypto, you're making a gigantic mistake. I've said it many times. Just use BITO. B-I-T-O. Middle of the range, sellers, buyers. So buyers into 23, buyers into 21, lose 21, wee. Sellers into 28, sellers into 30, get out of 31, wee. So right here, you're just waiting. You don't know which way it's going to go. Prudential, this is concerning. So falling knife into 64, 65 plus or minus would be a better solution. Support for me here. Losing this and this and this create targets that extend down to the high 50s. So I'm not rushing into this one. Learn what's inside of it first. See how exposed to the banking crisis it is or isn't. PXD, sellers into 200. Okay. Opportunity to get to 204 where sellers are more hardcore up there. It looks like it has buyers anywhere below 182. So as long as they hold that recent low, you can build and try to take out those those sellers. I mean, the selling zones. Meanwhile, they are selling rallies. This is a rally, and every rally sold is made a new low. So going to 168 is a real possibility. So you better learn that. What do I mean? Okay, so here's one. That's what happened before, right? Okay, so what if I take this and I do it here? Okay, you say, that'll never happen again. Okay, let's copy it and put it here. You want it here? See what I mean? Okay, so be open. PayPal, solid support, solid. I don't know why PayPal should be lower than that. Okay. And if it is, and it goes to 68, I'd be long. I believe I suggested the credit put spread. I don't know if I took it for myself or not. But if it does fall into 65 or 66, I'd get long. I would close something else to get long this one. Meanwhile, it's going to ping pong inside this. Get long in this area, get short in that area, or exit. If you take this out, you get to here, but that's not my target. But I did say book 1, book 2. So you do have a ping pong area. Look, this was the downside scenario. So far so good. Qualcomm, crazy stock. I don't trade it. Middle of the range. You have support at 120 through 118. Support at 114. You lose 113, you're going for a ride lower. And that means the markets have corrected hard. And you have sellers into all these zones. These are still there. Roblox. For a minute there, I think they had money deposited in Silicon Valley Bank, but they got bailed out. That's an aggressive stock. They're buying dips. Look, dip pot. So if they take this out, that is available. But better to start on a dip or chase the rip. So from a trading perspective, this worked. Rig, I shorted it and I got out. I left a lot of money on the table. I would not get long it here either. It could be 440. Okay. So now 640 is a trigger back to 7.2. 640 trigger back to 7.2. If they sneeze, they're going to end up in the 4.6 area. Thank you. Which is not crazy. So this is still in play. Rivian, I'm long and struggling. So if somebody sold the credit put spread like I suggested and they didn't roll it to 4.6, they can exit for a loss, first of all. And I suggested several times to exit for a loss. That is possible. Or for me, it was a gamble. And when I opened the trade, and I said, I will take the shares if assigned and I wouldn't defend it. And I would sell the put I bought for protection for lowering my profit level. So I would still do that. And I'm a little bit more nervous because I think their relationship with Amazon just went through the crapper. So there is risk. It is a volatile stock. I don't have my entire nest egg in there. It's a small position. And my credit put spread is underwater. I would break even in the 14s. So if I got assigned shares, I would lose money on that trade. But I think I would lose more if I wanted to close the credit put spread. So my personal opinion is I would rather be assigned and me selling the shares and selling my protection. Better scenario than to have to close the credit put spread. But you can roll it. The roll didn't cost anything if you did it early enough when I suggested it and I posted it. So that's where we stand. The credit put spread is under fire. We need a pop. We need help from the market. Okay, so Rogers, if you lose 144, you're going to come down to 130. What is this? Is this the Garter? No. Okay, so if you lose this, you end up down here. And that's a lot of resistance. But if by some miracle you take out 165, you end up at 177. That is weird stock. Okay, Roku. Solid base into 55, 54. Solid. Buy the dip there with stops. If you lose that, you're going to come back into the 40s, maybe 46. Head and shoulders here brewing. If you lose this for whatever reason, you're going to end up down here, which means the markets have corrected. Okay, so they're fighting over a neckline from before right now. A lot of sellers into 70. It's kind of like you can't do much with the stock right now. Starbucks, you can sell credit put spread into support and stops, because that is a giant head and shoulders, which will put you down here, which is now the more companies I've seen, I'm worried because what the hell? Do we have a 5 to 7% drop this week? Looks like we're brewing for one, because that's what that happens. That's what would make this happen, is what I was trying to say. SCHW, I sold a naked put in it. I shared it live, and I think I wrote it up. So this is a me gamble on the CEO of Schwab buying shares. I'm with him, is what I said. And the trade immediately went green. So I may decide to book it as a trade as opposed to leaving it to die for maximum gains. We're not guaranteed anything, especially that I'm long FRC as well. 374 water. What do they do? That's a micro cap. Supercritical water oxidation. Okay, that's clear. Okay, the stock has support around 380. So if it falls into 380, I would get long for a chance to scroll back up. Clear as water. Sears Holdings. No, it's not. It's not Sears Holdings, but it sure looks like it. SHLD. So SHLS. It has a seller that's hiding at 2260. If you take that out, you could get to 25. Sellers all along the way. They're selling rallies. This is a rally. I assume they're going to try to sell it down. Either they sell it down from here or from here. Either way, they're going to come back down. So hopefully they pop and then they come back down. Otherwise, they're going to threaten this one this week. This looks like support. So you can get long into this area with stops. Anything below 20 is a buyable with stops. Shopify, I'm long via credit put spread. You saw it. It's a really good win. Close it. Leave money on the table. We don't know what the fudge is going on. It was too easy of a win. We collected $97, $100 on it. Whoops. $100 on a credit put spread. That's weird. What just happened here? That was weird. Okay. So anyway, it could go higher, and a breakout from 47.50 will get you 52. So if you want to chase it with calls, that's fine. Shares, that's fine. Not all in. Leave room for error. SLGC. Wait. Shopify. Yes. They're selling rallies. They're in a selling zone. 240 is a pivotal zone. They need to be above 250. Otherwise, I think it goes to 195. SNA, they're trying to double bottom above support. So they do have support here. And they're trying to hold the support into 228, 225. So you can get long, but they are selling rallies. You have to respect that. When it gets to 238, they're going to be selling it hard. What happens? Does it curl back down and lose us 230? If that's the case, it's going to 222. SoFi, I'm long by selling puts at 5. So long Affirm, long SoFi, but I didn't double. So what I did, when I went long Affirm, I said I'm not going to add to Palantir. So I took money from Palantir, put it in Affirm. When I went long SoFi, I said I'm not going to add to Affirm. I'm now all in to not all in. I'm not going to add to Affirm, but I'm not all in because I spread the same risk across 3 different tickers because they trade the same similarly. So I'm long this company, SoFi, and green. When I wrote it up to the group on Benzinga that cannot sell anything, I said I'm selling $5 puts, but you can buy shares at $5.35, and here it is at $5.75. So the profitable trade so far. From a trading perspective, there's a seller at 6. You take out 6, you get to 640 or 660. Splunk, I'm long via credit put spread. I'm staying long. It's in the middle of the range. There's nothing to do with my trade. If I buy calls here, I'm assuming if they break above 95, they get to 98 or 100. If they lose 87, they will challenge my credit put spread. So you might want to trim it if it's a winning trade or close it. I believe it is. Square, sold the credit put spread. This is, you need to pay attention. I think I'll do a video for it. I've explained it several times. So I sold the credit put spread, and it was in the money wrong because of a headline from Square, and because it got written up by some Hindenburg report saying that it's blah, 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 blah. The stock immediately rallied. So on the worst part of the day, on that headline day, I said I would sell the protective put for $5.80 or something like that. And within minutes, that was the right thing to do because the rally dropped. That same thing I sold to $3.40. I said I would buy it back here and I would scalp some profits, and then I would sit and wait in my 64, 65 credit put spread and see if Square will get above there. It did go above there on the first day. So if somebody was actively trading, they could have gotten out on the first day with minimal damage. If somebody did nothing like me, as far as doing nothing and holding the credit put spread, I can wait another day or two. The company is too good for it to stay down here. The company defended itself, came out and said, we're suing them back and we're involving the SEC, I think, which gives me some confidence that they're not cheating like they were accused. So it remains to be seen. I still right now would rather take shares and sell the protective put, because if they assign me now, I would be green. That's how expensive those protective puts are. But I'm risking owning shares at 65. Not everybody can do that. The easy thing to do is to punt it down and out and buy yourself some time if you're running out of time, but you're not yet. Truist, I don't know what that is. You have support into 30 and resistance into 34. So you take out 34, maybe you get $1 or $2. Yeah, Jacob, it's kind of wishy-washy, right? I didn't read it. Those guys they're making money off their headlines. What is this? Oh, the TLT. So now everybody thinks that Powell is going to cut rates. If so, this is going to skyrocket. Is it that easy? We'll see. I still think the easier path is lower, technically, but the TLT is not easy to trade. So if you do get a pop, book your profits. It won't let you stay long, winning long term. This is the upside potential. Short term, it may dip a little bit. Okay. TQQQ. So if you think the markets are going to rally, buy this. Don't add to this. It doesn't hold value well long term like the QQQ. Okay, it's not the same. I'm not going to get into it. I know people will tell me, oh, I can explain it mathematically. It doesn't matter why it happens. I know it does happen. If I hold the Qs and the TQs, I'm going to lose money on the TQs. All things equal in a not so good market. So I would rather use the QQQ, and I would not do spreads in here. If you think we're going to get a burst, this is the faster way to make money. It's that simple. Tesla. So I sold puts twice in the last week or 10 days on bad days, and I booked them both for easy profits. I would repeat that on a bad day to come. So whether it came or not, I don't know. This week, if Tesla falls into 180, it will find support. If it falls to 165, it will find support. If it loses last March 13th low, it will be in the 40s again, 140. So at that point, I would sell a sub 100 put in size to somebody who's panicking, like I did down here and told you about it. Twilio. Twilio needs to be above 64 quickly, because if it's not, Twilio is going to 54. And if it is, that means the market is going lower. Twilio is an excellent barometer for the market most times. Not always, most times. So if Twilio is not above 64, yikes. And if Twilio is below 59, yikes for the whole market. So Twilio is an important stock. Alta, I believe they report earnings, maybe Lulu. Somebody does. There's no easy entry here. You have buyers below, stronger buyers below that. Huge seller zone scattered. So rallies are not going to be easy. So if you buy calls, you're assuming something. If you sell a put spread, okay. As long as there's no earnings. UNH, there's no reason to buy UNH here. It's in the middle of its recent zone. You have buyers at 468, sellers at 485. You buy calls here, you're assuming we're going to go to 485. You break out of 485, you're going to 500. Okay? Bunch of sellers up there. Now, this is an important stock. If this is up here, the Dow is broken out, which means the S&P is probably also running. And there are buyers at 465, 66. If you lose 466, you're probably going to trigger this, which probably is going to trigger that. And if this is happening, we have a market-wide correction. Why? Because this stock is a massive stock inside the Dow. That means the Dow is falling out of control. That means there's no way the S&P is not falling if the Dow is falling out of control. So be careful. This is an important stock. This is where I would say long DIA with stops. That would be the bet on it. Okay, USO. Short it until 0. No, don't do that. Don't do that. That's Nick's feeding stalking. Nailed it. Nailed it. Look at this. You see that? That was last September. All right. So neckline that they lost. Right there. You see it? This is another neckline I highlighted. Check it out. Okay, so I'm going to leave it where it's at. This is an arrow that was available. They consolidated for so long. They fell from here to here, consolidated for so long, and they just lost consolidation. So I'm telling you this. If oil, USO, doesn't get to 66 and hold it, which means fall to 64 and come back and take out 66. So if it doesn't do this and get up here, it's going to be in the 50s, if not the high 40s. What did he freaking say? Yes. Yes, I said it months and months ago that they're feeding us a lie. And this is the proof that they were feeding us a lie and everybody piled into oil at the highs. And now they're making money off of you. Not you people, because you listen to me. Anyway, it's important technically for it to get to 66. Otherwise, if they lose this support, they will come down to this zone. So here is the potential. A bounce will find sellers. And then when they back to here, then what? This. And then they live to fight another day. Or the other scenario is this, bounce and lose the support and come down to here. This wonky stubby arrow. Whatever. You know what I mean? So there's going to be a decision. on the bounce. Question mark. We'll see. The USO is easy to trade. Single legs at the money or in the money, calls or puts, whichever way, about 3 weeks out, 3 to 4 weeks out. Don't get cute with spreads, the USO ticker. It's weird, but that's how it works. Okay, we are looking at VMware. I wouldn't trade the stock for all the money in the world. Why? It's manipulated. By who? By its owner, Mr. Dell. Does he own it? Does he not own it? Is it private? Is it going private? No, it's back to public. No, it's private. Okay, the company's great. No doubt about it. Technically, you have a breakout from 120. So you should be able to take out 126 and get to 132. That's the process. But what about this? So a dip into 114 is buyable. But I'm telling you what, I wouldn't touch this. Look at these headlines. No, not good for credit spreads. So if you're trading with shares or calls or puts, that's fine. Wheaton Precious Metals. Wow. Whew. Okay, so they're trying to break out on a weekly basis from 46 and get to 60. It's going to be a process, though. Look at all the sellers lurking through 52. So let's look at it on a shorter term basis. So buy the dip is the right thing to do here. I don't know where it's going to fail from, but if it does dip into 44 or 43, that's what you do. You buy the dip here and hope it comes back and take this out for a trade, not an investment. I don't know anything about the investment part of it. There's no reason to do anything here. It's going into a massive fail. I don't assume they're going to take it out. That 128 area looks death. Opposite to that, that looks like a solid support if it falls below 123. 23 through 21 and a half, super solid support. Oh, and that's it. But let me stop the video and